Oh, Jeffrey's getting horny. You know what that means. Nah, Jeffrey doesn't go on Pornhub. He's too far gone for that basic. Jeffrey goes onto 4chan to find his special videos. He doesn't realize how much better off he'd be if he got onto NoFap, but some men, just like Jeffrey, don't want to improve. Let me walk you through my unfiltered jackathons. I'd wake up late on the weekends and immediately grab my phone. I'd start scrolling through Reddit with morning breath, and I'd go through the memes and political posts, the funny videos and the interesting articles, and oh, look, a not safe for work post. Don't mind if I do. Ah yes, the r/stacked subreddit, a gentleman's classic. I'm going in. I go on the subreddit, post after post. I'm dry humping my bed sheets at this point. Someone's linked this porn star's own subreddit. I'm going deeper into the rabbit hole. First nut of the day conquered within 20 minutes of waking. I fuck around for a while scrolling on Reddit, playing Summoner's War on my phone, looking at gym girls' glute workouts on Instagram. Time for round 2. Straight onto Pornhub. Remember that Latina maid video where the guy just keeps handing her money to undress? Yeah, let me spend 30 minutes trying to find that one particular video and it end up being in 360p. Still, I get the second nut of the day. And of course, the third nut comes at nighttime following Jeffrey's nighttime routine. I can't sleep without fapping. What a sad life. Adonis looks around in shame at the men of today. He sees fat, lazy, undisciplined, unambitious, weak men who overindulge in instant gratification. He's let down. But there is hope. Adonis notices a small group of men growing larger and larger. This group of men say "F you" to the researcher when they're offered the first marshmallow in the experiments. And even the second marshmallow. We don't want that sugary shit. We're fasting. We're on a dopamine detox. We do NoFap and we meditate and we read and we journal. Adonis smiles. He's impressed. I've jacked off twice in the last 18 months. I walk around and I look at some guys and I know for a fact that some of these men have jacked off twice this morning. So like the majority of teenagers, obviously I was busting a lot of them nuts. And I get to about age 17 or 18 and a lot of people are talking about NoFap. It's gonna make you levitate and you can hold eye contact with girls and you really want to hold eye contact and girls will know woman attraction and shit. And obviously I'm like, okay, that sounds sick, bro, let's go. And of course I get to like day 1 or 2 and I relapse and I go again. I'm like, okay, come on, day 90, gotta do a 90-day reset. Got to day 3. Okay, 90-day reset. Okay, got to like day 1. Just kept on resetting, kept on relapsing. I remember that I would always relapse because I never really changed the habit of when I would fap. So I'd wake up and I'd be on NoFap, but I'd just scroll on Reddit as always. And it's almost like I knew what I was searching for. I knew what I was scrolling for, hoping to see, but I didn't want to like consciously admit it. And you'd keep scrolling, you know, just, I'm just looking at memes. I'm just, oh, ass. I mean, yeah, I can click on it. Oh, look. And I'm like just pretty much dry humping the bed sheets and shit. And, you know, like essentially acting like I'm not doing the thing that I'm doing because I didn't have like the accountability for it. And so I failed a bunch of times. Like I literally failed for a while on NoFap. But I started making some changes. I never quit. I knew for a fact that this was the way forward. And it literally would take me years to make good progress on NoFap. And that's one of the things that we're going to discuss later in this video. But that's one of the things that these YouTubers don't tell you about. They don't give you like realistic expectations. They sell you this dream of like the NoFap benefits timeline. But they don't tell you that to be good on NoFap takes years. And so I'm going to give you like a mindset lesson later on. So eventually I start getting into double-digit IQ and I delete Reddit, or I block the not safe for work posts on Reddit, and so now I can't see, and it's like one more barrier. But then obviously I go into Instagram and start like going through like the Instagram models. When you click on a model's profile, you like jack off to her pictures for a bit and you scroll back up and then click on the suggested model's profile and you ended up looking at some like Serbian woman who's posting slutty pictures of herself because her family's hungry. It's kind of a dark road to go down, bro. I'm so glad that I'm not a wanker anymore. Like Sam. A big improvement for me came when I started going out to nightclubs and parties around age 18 to 19. I'm actively going out, I'm actively like kissing girls in clubs and everything. And it was just a nice mindset switch where I was like, okay, I can be the little loser who like touches himself at home and like, you know, busts a nut at home, or I can literally just save up for the girls that I go and meet outside. And I was like, that just got me like way more motivated for it. I got into this idea of, okay, I want to have like a full on like massive load, bro. Massive load when I like bust with a girl. And so I just stopped touching myself like at home. Obviously every now and then, every few days I'd still be doing it, but at least it helped push me in the right direction. Through uni, it was pretty much the same thing, that when I was actively sleeping with girls, I would purposely like get onto NoFap, absolutely no problem. And so this was the first time after about 3 years of being on NoFap that I could literally get weeks at a time, no problem. And I wouldn't like actually fap, of course, like I'd have sex in the middle and everything. And it was pretty much the same thing for a long time. Whilst I was in university, I was hooking up with a girl like every few weeks or so. So I was just kind of like saving my nut for that. And I remember eventually it got to the point when the amount of girls that I was attracting decreased quite a lot because I gained like a lot of weight, got like depression and anxiety and shit, and like, you know, I was going through some like bad started going out less and everything. And so, of course, I almost automatically started fapping more. It's like a very interesting, like, linear correlation with that. Interestingly, like, I was jacking off a lot when I was, like, living with a girl who I was, like, sleeping with and, like, dating and everything as well. Bro, when you've got mental health problems, just know, like, you're a wanker. Like, you are 100% gonna fap more. It's just how it works. It's very interesting. Like, even if you've got a woman to sleep with and literally in the same room or the next room to you, you're just gonna end up being way more drawn to the validation and the intimacy, the fake virtual pixel intimacy that porn gives you, because you can get an unlimited amount of, like, variance, and it's like each woman you watch who's, you know, undressing and looking at the camera, who's getting pounded and everything, and you visualize yourself pounding her. That feels like it fills the gap of, like, the lack of love that you didn't get from your parents or whatever your trauma's from. We went kind of deep there, but it is the truth, 100%. Like, you jack off because you've got some mental health problems, 100% is the truth, boys. Eventually, I move out of the city that, you know, I've been in for the last few years for university. I moved back home to my parents' house. I'm on full-on dopamine detox, monk mode style shit. I literally did not touch my dick for, like, 6 months straight. I start sleeping with a girl and I buy some condoms, and I wanted to, like, fully, like, get into using condoms. I don't know, some people say it's a cope. Honestly, like, because I had been on NoFap 6 months straight, like, I did not bust for 6 months. I feel like I had the conscious, like, strength not to, but it was like a conscious decision to fap that day with a condom on to make sure it was, like, completely perfect. And people can say it's a cope, but I personally don't think it is, because then I lasted about another 6 months without fapping, so I don't think it was, like, out of weakness or discipline or whatever. Tested the condoms, it was actually fucking sick doing this, and it's a practice I recommend. Kind of side note, but if you're gonna start you've never been given sex education from a slut. That's fucking weird, isn't it? You've never been given sex education from a slut. You've been given sex education from, like, the 60-year-old woman who comes into your school. She's had sex, like, 3 times or once in the last year when her husband's behaved and done all of his chores like a fucking mule. She gives, like, duty sex to her husband once a year or some bullshit for his birthday. You need to be given sex education from, like, an actual person who and one of the things that I was never taught in school, in the sex education class or even, like, Reddit or anything, is how to actually find the right condom size. And once you do, it's like all of the excuses you have to use one go away. You'd happily use one. The reason why we as guys don't is because it's just kind of like, you know, it's a boner kill, and psychologically it's just kind of, you know, it's off-put. I've got to f around with the packaging, stick it on and stuff. And 2, it's like a physical thing of, like, it doesn't feel as good. When you find your right size, both of those problems get reversed. You become the guy who's like, it's completely fast and normal for you to put one on. It fully changes your mental state when you're actually having casual sex with girls, because you don't feel like you're at risk anymore. Kind of off track. If you want to find out your condom size, literally just, like, Google it. It's like, there's guides and everything. How to find out my condom size. You'll find out, like, the nominal width and buy the right size. My size is 60 mm in the nominal width. So you can, like, go online and see what that is. It's too big for Sam. That sounded way more gay than it had to be. Do I have to, like, explain everything? Oh, 60 mm, boys. You'll find it in the extra large department. So I tried it on that time, and I was like, fully think, okay, I'm gonna bust to, like, you know, make sure it feels okay, and it did. It's fine. Then I literally went about another sort of, like, 6 months, not like planning it to be 6 months. It just kind of happened in the sense that I then had phone sex with a girl that I was dating, so we were fully, like, in a relationship and everything. And so it was like we had distance between us whilst she was on, like, a trip or something. So it's like, that to me is like, you can see it as, like, fapping, but it's like, I don't feel bad about those moments at all. So it's 2 times in the last 18 months, but it felt like it was under my control in this sense. Imagine there's 2 men in a cage, and there's a nice juicy steak. Which guy's gonna fight harder for it? The one who's full on McDonald's, or the guy who's been saving up that hunger? The guy who's fasting. Of course, the guy who's fasting. If you've ever fasted before, if you've done intermittent fasting, or you've done, like, if you're badass, if you've done, like, a whole day water fast, even though, you know, we know how grilling works, you get less hungry and everything, but it's like, it's weird. You turn into, like, almost primal in a sense, and you, like, it's like your scent, your ability to smell and salivate literally goes up. I don't know about anyone else, but when I'm smelling some, like, peng food when I'm fasting, I almost envision, like, very slightly, like, fighting that person for that food. Like, it's a very primal thing when you fasted. What about if you fast from ejaculation, from porn, from sex? It's the exact same thing. If, as men, we do most, if not all, of our actions to reproduce, to have sex, right? And a lot of guys, oh no, I lift weights for me. Shut the fuck up, bro. Okay, you're a dumbass who don't even, like, have the level of awareness to know that you have, like, subconscious motivations. Of course you do, you dumbass. We do things to have sex, to reproduce, to spread our seed. 100% we do. Maybe not all things, but it's like, in a weird way, me making this NoFap video right now is still somewhat for the purpose of reproduction, because this will get uploaded to my YouTube channel, the YouTube channel will grow, I'll make more money, I'll get more successful, I'll be able to attract a mate to spread my seed to. Everything we do is somehow linked to that. What if you've simply just cut off the last point, the biggest motivation for man? What if you cut it off? Because when you jack off, when you watch porn, you take that huge motivation, that huge drive away from yourself. There's an act called sexual transmutation, which it's like, you know, it's a very, like, big word, and it's like defining Really, the simple thing is that when we have sexual energy, we use it. If we don't have someone to have sex with right now when we feel horny, if you're doing the right things, it's like you start to work on the things that would eventually get you that person to have sex with. The issue with fapping and having sex, especially casual sex, is that you cut off that ability to work for anything. You don't need to. You've already achieved the height of like male life. Once we've achieved this pursuit of ejaculating and spreading our seed, it's like we get comfy. This is like why so many guys will jack off last thing in the night, because it literally makes you feel lazy. It's like you feel accomplished. It's like this idea of like, yeah, like I've already done my job. I don't need to like do any more. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I'm lethargic. You get depleted. You get drained. Imagine a bull. Like the bull fucks. What happens after it gets castrated? It turns into like a docile, weak pushover. You're castrating yourself. It's the exact same thing. Like when an animal gets castrated, think about any animal right now, any pet or anything. When it gets castrated, its balls gets chopped off. It stops its production of testosterone. It stops its ability to have sex and to reproduce. It turns into like a docile animal. It turns into just a weak pushover, feminine version of what it was. That's what you're doing to yourself. You are castrating yourself. If you have potential, which you hopefully do if you're watching my videos, but most men do have potential. That's the thing. Even if you're like an average Jeffrey, the thing is, most men have potential. The issue is that most men don't put in the work to achieve that potential, because you don't need to, because our potential is supposed to be used to eventually attract the mates that we can sleep with, that we can reproduce with. But what if you fooled your mind and your body to already think that you've been reproducing like every day, 3 times a day since you were like 13 years old? And the way that it seems to mess up your mind with the dopamine receptors, I don't know the science shit, okay, I'll tell you the truth, but the way that I understand it is that we have only a limited amount of energy and sort of like feel good hormone in us. We want to get that feel good hormone from something productive, from doing our work. When you hyper trigger this feel good hormone, this dopamine hormone, there's like less of it available to motivate you to then do that hard work. It's the simple concept of like doing a bunch of easy stuff makes the hard stuff harder, even though it stayed exactly the same. The first workout after a long time off always feels harder than like the 70th workout when you've been going consistently. You're just in the flow of things. It doesn't feel exactly hard anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, fapping, watching porn, it fully gives you like the personality of a loser. Like you literally feel like a loser. Like there was this dynamic that I would always experience when I used to go out to nightclubs and parties. And obviously everyone's lying if they say that they go to those places to not right? 100%. Bro, you, right? The people who lie about this shit. If you're going to nightclubs as a guy, bro, you're trying to you want to hook up with a girl that night. I'm just going for shut the up, bro. I'm just going for the music, go for the DJ. Like, stop. That's what girls say, bro. I'm not like the other girls. I dress up for myself in my. Oh, shut up, Eve. So I'd go out to the club, obviously hoping to hook up with a girl that day. You know, I'd flirt with some girls. Oftentimes I would make out with them and everything. But sometimes, like a fair amount of times, maybe 50%, maybe even more, you go to the club and you want to come back with a girl. You're horny. It's 3 a.m. You really wanted to like have sex tonight. You remember speaking to a bunch of girls. You had this sense of uncomfortability when you saw that a girl that you had spoken to was like leaving the club with a guy. So what do you do now? Well, of course, you know, the last call on Tinder, maybe it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you know, see if any girls are active on there and maybe message a few girls on Instagram, depending on how desperate you are. But eventually you end up checking off. And the exact same dynamic happens to a guy who, for example, like, you know, sees a pretty girl on Instagram, he messages her, she doesn't reply, and he ends up like jacking off to her pictures. Like, think about what that's sending in your mind. Like, if she doesn't want me, I'll just myself to her pictures. You like fully just think, like, picture this in your mind of like, you know, all the guys have been out tonight to try and get a girl. Some of the guys pull, you know, some like tall chads or whatever, they end up taking a girl home, and it's all these like fucking little loser guys who come home, dark fucking crusty room, and they like touch themselves instead because they didn't manage to like get the success tonight. Do you want your personality to get closer to those type of guys? Because I'm not gonna lie, bro, that's cringe, like beta male type of shit. And I know some people really hate the phrase beta male, and they're like, oh, it's saying beta male's cringe, you're not allowed to say that shit. Bro, I don't give a mate. Like, if there's a beta male action, it's masturbation. Of course it is. If there's one thing that fully defines the beta and the alpha, is that the alpha sleeps with the girl and the beta jacks off whilst watching them through like the little peephole. Just watching porn and jacking off, bro, it's fucking cringe. You're literally watching a video of the woman that you want get fucked by someone else. Like, oh, I wish that was me. What the f? It's like exactly the same as watching sports. You're just sat there displacing yourself, visualizing that yourself, like imagining and hoping that you were this other guy on screen. Stop displacing yourself. Stop trying to imagine, oh, I wish that was me. Stop trying to imagine that you're the guy who's winning. Put in the work and start winning yourself. What a disgusting way that some guys are living life. And the thing is, if you're watching this video, I'm kind of ranting against you, but the chances are you probably already know about NoFap and stuff. I just had a bit of a rant in my mind. I was sat in like a coffee shop and I was literally just like watching people go by, and it was quite a weird time because I'm a YouTuber. I can work whenever I want. So it was like 11 a.m. on a weekday. All the young people, of course, are like in university and school and whatever. So we didn't really see many young people. And there was just like older people, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever of, age people going past. And I was literally looking at every single guy and I was thinking like 100% of these guys jack off, 100%. There was one attractive guy who went past, and you know what? I guarantee that he jacks off too. This is what's very interesting. If you had to think what type of guy jacks off, of course we would say, the losers, the betas and stuff. What's very, very interesting, you might see this, is that even the attractive Chad looking type of guys, even they do as well. It's very interesting, isn't it? Even the type of guys who, for example, would have a girlfriend, even the type of guys who, for example, go out and still they hook up with girls. It's like a plague that's infested all types of men, apart from those men who have found NoFap and who have gotten into this culture. But there is a huge issue with being in this like community of NoFap. And if you're watching this video, you're probably suffering from that. I want to give you advice on NoFap because I'm not going to lie, like when I see these videos online, I'm like, yo, these YouTubers don't know what the they're talking about. They're giving you some trash advice. I don't think these YouTubers practice what they preach whatsoever. When I look at NoFap advice and when people ask me advice and they're like, oh, but this guy's video says this, I'm like, what the People are coming to me, my boys are coming to me with worse mental health because they got onto NoFap. How does that make sense? Because you got onto NoFap, you feel worse because of the way that these guys explain it online. The NoFap's benefit timeline, go f yourself. There's no such thing as a NoFap benefit timeline. At day 96, you're at day 13. I f you. Do you think the body works like that? At day 7.5, you'll get a 3. Shut the f up, bro. You fucking dumb. I'm tired, like, bro, I've said this, I've raged about these NoFap YouTubers many times because they're literally giving you a mental illness. They are so toxic with this idea that they do is like, I'm on day 7,000 and if you relapse, then you're a like, that's what they say. If you relapse, here's all these benefits. Here's the day 90 benefits. Day 90, you'll be able to levitate, but if you relapse, you'll lose everything. Think about how disgusting that advice is. If you relapse, you'll have to start again from the NoFap benefit timeline. Go f yourself. Imagine how deep this gets into the mind of a young person who's watching this shit. Imagine saying and actually making an obese guy believe this. And you say to this obese fat guy, you say, okay, here's all the benefits to working out. You'll get to live and people will like you. And you'll get confidence and your heart will start working right. And if you miss a workout, you lose all of these benefits. Imagine saying that. If you go one day without working out, you lose all these benefits. How f***ed does that sound? That's what these little cringy YouTubers are telling you, these NoFap YouTubers. Every single one that I've seen, they say this bullshit to you that if you relapse, you've lost all the benefits. It's like, literally, it's like saying if you take a day from the gym, you've lost all of the gains. How fucking stupid is that? And it's like, it's such a toxic, the amount of young guys who came to me and they get like almost in tears where they're like, oh, I can't get to day 90. It's been like day 3, I got to day 7. And they start getting annoyed. I got to day 7 and I relapsed. I'm like, day 7 is an accomplishment. So you're telling me in the last 8 days, you fapped once. They're like, yeah. How many times did you used to fap per week? Like every day, twice a day. Do you not see like the huge fucking progress that you've just made? That is huge progress. You used to jack off every single day. Let's say you got to day 3 and you've relapsed, right? These horrible motherfuckers will tell you that you failed and you have to reset your progress. I will tell you, any good-hearted person will tell you that if you've got to day 3 and you've relapsed on day 3, that means that over 3 days, you fapped once. Just 6 months ago, over 3 days, you were fapping 3 times, maybe 4, maybe 5. Progress. You have to understand, this is like porn and masturbation is a habit that you've been building up for years. It takes months, if not years, to destroy that habit. It took me 5 years to destroy it. For a solid, I think 2 years after I found NoFap, I could barely get to like day 7. It was only when I stopped counting the days in university and I wasn't sat there like etching it into my wall with a knife, like, oh, I'm on day 7, I'm so close to the NoFap benefits timeline. You. That's when I started getting closer and closer to the golden point of NoFap. That's something I've mentioned which no one else has. There is a golden point of NoFap. It's the ultimate goal to get to. The golden point of NoFap is where you forget that NoFap exists. It's where you forget that porn and masturbation is like even a thing. It's like every now and then when I see the word NoFap and porn and masturbation, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's a thing. Like I completely forget that it's like a thing that you can do to like masturbate. That's the best case scenario. The issue is that when you watch all these YouTubers, you're watching this video right now, you are obsessed with this. You're so obsessed that you're literally stopping yourself from getting to this golden point. What was the ultimate goal of all this? It was, you know, you wanted to make progress. You wanted to get the NoFap benefits, right? But you didn't want to be sat there constantly overthinking about this, did you? You didn't want to be sat there almost feeling like a full-time job in your mind, like, don't fap today. I wonder when the next time I'm going to relapse. Don't fap today. Don't fap today. I wonder when I'm going to see a trigger. That was never the goal. We wanted to almost feel immune to this, where even if we end up literally being faced with porn, we kind of like don't associate it with jacking off. The issue is that when you're in the middle of this cult of NoFap, and I say my server, my channel, and everything I'm doing here is a cult. Like, I openly say to you, we're literally in a cult. But their cult, like the NoFap cult, is a very like dirty one compared to us just trying to be more like Adonis. That's like a cult that they're pushing you on, which is like a very negative one where they make you feel worse when you've like regressed on their NoFap benefit timeline. You. There's cringy videos, bro. Like, anyone with like, I'm not even smart, bro. I'm not even smart, but anyone with like double-digit IQ knows that the body doesn't work on a benefits timeline. If you get to day 16, you'll be able to hold eye contact. A woman attraction. Woman attraction. Women can tell. Do you know women can tell that you feel like a spurg? All of it is almost like a placebo. Like, that's the biggest part of it, right? There is absolutely some part in your physiological system that changes when you masturbate. Of course there is, but it's not anywhere near as much as people say. Now, I'm literally still preaching NoFap to you. I'm still telling you to get onto it. I'm telling you that we're never going to watch porn again. Every time I sort of criticize NoFap YouTubers, some spur comes to me. He's like, oh, Hamza's wrong because porn's really bad for you. Yeah, no shit, motherfucker. We're never watching porn again. We're preferably going to drastically or eliminate our fapping too. But you need to understand what the real benefits are, because then when you don't experience the levitation on day 16 and the woman attraction and like every woman's wet for you and shit, you feel weird. It's like the dynamic of when you start lifting weights and you see all these motherfuckers lying to you on YouTube. It's like 1 year body transformation and he's full-on bodybuilder at this point. And you're like, oh, that's weird because I'm 6 months in and I don't really look that different. Because following with the same example, it would be so useful for you when you start weightlifting to find a very realistic, natural weightlifter's body transformation. Because sometimes you'll click on these body transformations and people have said this to me, like Sam, our own video editor, has said this, where he would see other people's body transformations and they'd get huge in the first year and 2 years and 3 years. And of course, then you're going to feel worse. You're going to start questioning things. Your mind's going to start like playing on you. You're going to literally give yourself like so much extra stress. The issue with all these YouTubers and they're saying this bullshit of like, all the women will know and stuff. It's like, you absolutely will give off a different vibe compared to the guy who's like watching porn and he's got like fucked up mental health. Of course you will. But the biggest benefit of NoFap, I promise you, people are going to disagree with this, but I promise you the biggest benefit is the placebo. It's that you think it's going to make women hold eye contact with you. You've been told so many times, women attraction, women are going to hold eye contact. So when you get to day 3, you just notice it more. It's almost like you're looking out for it more. And you end up, of course, holding eye contact with more girls because you're actually trying to do it, because you almost feel like you deserve it at that point. What if we shortcut the process? What if we give you that placebo right now? I'm telling you right now, like, no woman on the street is like sensing that you haven't busted nuts. It would be the other way around. If it had to be something like this, then in an evolutionary standard, the women would pay more attention to the guy who seems to have already been drained, because it's almost like, oh, like, why is he busting out? Like, some woman's, taking his seed, which must mean that he's got like the evolutionary like traits that is good enough for one woman, so it might be good enough for me. Like, having a built up amount of semen would be an evolutionary disadvantage for men. So busting would make you more attractive to girls. I've just disproved the but I'm just saying NoFap. No, I'm not saying NoFap's bad, you fucking dumbass, right? I'm saying to still get onto it. Still absolutely never ever watch porn. We're never watching that shit ever again, bro. But just have way more realistic standards. Maybe like I have to do my own NoFap's benefit timeline. But honestly, it's kind of a mood kill because, everyone's told you that it's going to make you money and everything. But really the biggest benefit practically is the time saved. It's just the truth. You save a solid few hours a week, which is extremely valuable. You'll probably save about 5 hours every single week, which is actually like a ridiculous amount of time that you'll save. Obviously, like, you can bust a nut within like a minute, but like oftentimes you'll probably agree with this. When you're jacking off, you don't like just do it fast as possible. You kind of edge out a bit. You search for the proper video. You end up scrolling way more. If it's completely out of your life, you save a solid few hours a week, which is a huge advantage. That's probably the best advantage that there is. Now, there is absolutely more of a benefit in terms of like semen retention and everything, and sexual transmutation and everything. I know for a fact that the guy who jacks off is just going to be worse in a lot of like different performing things. Fasting from ejaculation, fasting from like porn, masturbation, even sex. It's almost like it builds hunger in you just the same way that fasting from food does. There's 15,000 young men in my Discord server, and we've got a few pages for NoFap and relationships. And so if you're maybe struggling with this type of stuff, you want some support, you might even see me in some of the chats and the video calls. The Discord server is completely free to join. Scroll down right now to the description and click on the Discord link. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.